Yo, what's going on with you guys, man? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Let's keep the intro short and sweet. How you guys doing today? Hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Wherever you are, whether it's nighttime, whether it's day, whether you're in the Philippines or probably the USA, right? And it's like, well, we got another Pursuit of Wonder video, right? I try not to do too many two in a rows. I try to switch it up because I've subscribed to a lot of channels. I have a lot of good like content with information and knowledge. I'm trying to make it broad and sort of the shits. What do you call it? Like mix it up a little bit, keep it nice and fresh and the stuffs, right? And it's like, but dude, some of these like titles for these videos that this guy has, it's just like they intrigue you. Like I really want to know. What parts of the universe will we never know about, which is this video, right? Of course, it was dropped October 19. Let me leave a like, right? Which if you go on to like the video, the reaction, whatever, make sure that you like this video as well, right? Because I would appreciate it. And remind me to look at the camera more because I need to do that. And I'm not doing it enough. It's just like, yeah, dude. And if you do enjoy the content, make sure to leave a subscribe button. Right? Let's not spend any more time. Let's go. Let's get straight into it.
This
if you will load. Okay.
By the personalized soundscape app, Endel.
Endel?
The first 100 people to
Wait, I
click the
did
link in the
download that
description
app.
will receive 1 week of free audio experiences.
Damn, 1 week? Oh, I did do that. I did
Born
do that.
during a time when the expansion of the universe and the increasing force of dark energy had spread all the galaxy groups so far apart they could no longer be accessed or perceived from one another ever again. Edward was a part of a species who looked out at the universe and saw what appeared to be an edge leading to unending nothingness. The species that Edward was a part of referred to themselves as Yamanus. They were deep descendants of an evolutionary chain that began billions of years prior on a once planet known as Earth. Earth having eventually ended, like all things in the universe do, including
Yamanus.
itself, forced its inhabitants to spread out onto
Yamanus? That sounds familiar.
subsidiary planets, starting in their solar system, then, eventually, into the greater parts of their galaxy, which was then known as the Milky Way. Throughout this period, the expansion of the universe, accelerated by dark energy and the creation of new space-time, eventually caused
How
the
can you
galaxy
create new
group that the Milky Way
space-time?
was a part
Bro, how
of.
can you create new space? Well, what does that mean? I need to talk to a scientist because I have a lot of questions that just aren't making sense. Like the law of thermodynamics, man, you can't, no matter or energy can be created or destroyed. Is space-time not matter or energy? Maybe not.
To become more and more tightly bound. Eventually, the Milky Way and its neighboring galaxy, Andromeda, would collide like two star-crossed lovers, bonding over their shared increasing
Yes, but
isolation
that's a
in
lot
the
of
dim
time.
universe.
That's like a lot of time
Together,
away.
they would
A
birth
lot
a
of
new
time.
combined
A lot.
galaxy, Milkdromeda, which would become the new home for
Milkdromeda?
the surviving interplanetary species
Boy, no way,
once
boy.
spurred from Earth. For millions of more years,
I'm not gonna hold you. What did he say? He said that it was gonna live in that. I don't think that's very livable, my boy. I'm not gonna hold you. That does not look like Goldilocks zone at all.
planetary species once spurred from Earth.
What? How is that the home? You telling me somebody's living in that? No shot.
Millions of more years, the story
Nobody's
of
living
life
through
in
that.
Milkdromeda, as it
Look at
always
that.
was and always will, would be written in blood. Recurring missteps, disasters, and setbacks would come in the form of either partial self-destruction or cosmic catastrophes. Life would see major technological post-biology developments, only to essentially hit the reset
Post-biology?
button in some way or another,
Reset?
returning back near square one.
What is that? The Fermi paradox? What are
Throughout
you
this
talking about,
period
man?
of evolutionary trial and tribulation, the rest of the universe outside of Milkdromeda would continue to drift further and further away. At a certain point, it would drift so
Yeah.
far, the entirety of the observable universe would pass the cosmological horizon and become impossible for any inhabitants of Milkdromeda to ever reach or interact with ever again.
Well, aren't most galaxies already there? Like we couldn't ever really ever hope to reach them because they're just moving away from us. And we don't even know if we're already there. Like we don't even know if they're still there. Like that light is so old because it took us so long, and it's crazy how the fuck that fucking works. Because that kind of just goes against anything that like how do humans even know that? How does an animal on a planet even know that? Like, do you know how hard that is to comprehend for a mind that's built the way that ours is? That like light You're telling me I'm looking at the past if I'm looking out there? Like, that just seems impossible. Like, that just doesn't even make sense to me. How can I see something 200 million years old? Like, if I had a good telescope, you're telling me that just like the light hitting the like, if I had the most amazing, most powerful telescope of all time ever, like, you never seen a telescope this good, bruh. Like, if I had that and I pointed it to a galaxy or a planet like 200 million years away, like, I could potentially see that shit there. And if I looked long enough, could I see something moving? And it's not even like, if you were there in that spot, it's not there anymore. Like, what if the planet just got destroyed? What if it got swallowed up by a star? What if they all got sucked into a black hole? Like, but I can see it? Like, how does that even work? Why is that a thing? Like space time. It's the same thing. Space and time are the same thing. Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't ever think about looking at the past. Like, the past don't even exist anymore. But, well, I mean, I could technically see it. If I look out there in the present moment, like, that's fucking crazy to me. That's crazy.
No matter how smart or technologically advanced they became. They would become confined to their final possible home, and relatively soon, this home would close not only its doors, but its windows forever.
Damn, not the windows. See, I got my green tea on me.
The universe would continue to spread away further and further. Not only would accessibility be closed off, but any and all traces of the rest of the universe would no longer even be able to be seen or known by Melkdromeda's inhabitants at all. From this moment on, no outside light, no cosmic background radiation, and no other signs of the trillions of other galaxies would ever or could ever be detected or confirmed again.
Why? No cosmic background?
Science, really? Laws of physics, understood knowledge of the cosmos, technologies, stories, and medias, all would continue to be passed down from generation to generation. But as the distance between the last actual perception of the universe's prior state fell further into the past, and various cosmic and evolutionary events detonated into intellectual disorientations, the reality of the past...
Man, what are you saying, bro? This man is speaking like crazy language right now.
Intellectual disorientation.
It detonated into intellectual disorientations? What? The reality of the past portrayed in these surviving artifacts lost much of their what?
These surviving artifacts lost much of their truth.
Oh.
Each preceding generation doubted more and more the concepts of the universe's past.
Not the shit that already existed for a long time, though, because of that law where an idea that's old, it will last long. Like, an idea that's 1,000 years old is still gonna last another 1,000 years, because it's like a law, right?
Born during this time of total isolation from the rest of the truer universe, millions of years following the last first-hand accounts of it, found himself, along with the rest of the Yamanus, looking out into the universe and seeing a stagnant, fixed edge. For them, the universe was Melkdromeda, and Melkdromeda alone, shrouded in darkness.
Melkdromeda's pretty bright.
At an early age, after his grandfather bought him an astroscope when he was 7 years old,
he
developed a strong passion for astronomy. Together, he and his grandfather would always look up into the night sky and bond over stories about what might exist beyond the edge of the universe.
The edge.
Edward's grandfather didn't have any real scientific background or interest, but he was a very religious man who loved ancient myths, stories, and religious ideas about a domain of the universe that extended past the perceivable edge and held a heavenly beyond.
Jesus Christ, they're still gonna have religions by this point?
Edward went to Academy for Intercolonial Law after being pressured into it by his father. Edward's grandfather, however, would convince him by his 3rd year to switch to astronomy and follow his passion.
Yes, always follow your passion.
With his father, he would do, along with switching his second study
to what your father wants
and ancient history. Following Academy, because of his exceptional performance and work displaying high-level understandings of cosmological theory, Edward would receive an offer for an incredible opportunity to work at Mount Hale Observatory for Hale Cosmic Laboratories, which he would accept. One thing that would almost immediately set him apart as a cosmologist was how much and the way he questioned the contemporary scientific consensus about the universe. At the time, the universe was generally agreed upon to be unmoving, eternal, singular, and confined within a relatively small limit or edge that could be observed, outside of which it was believed there was an eternal void that went nowhere and contained nothing but nothingness. However, throughout his
Bro, you
early
ain't gonna
career,
forget
Edward
that.
would pull from his knowledge and background in ancient mythology and religion, and would question these currently agreed upon truths. He questioned if there was something beyond the edge of the universe, if there was a beginning or end, if there were other dimensions, if there was motion occurring around and through it, if there was more. Edward was not alone in these considerations, but the majority of the Yamanus who considered or believed in these sorts of ideas were primarily associated with different religions. Based around various ancient stories, medias, and so on, these religions had developed and mutated out of the portrayed cosmic spiritual possibilities found within them. However, unbeknownst to the Yamanus, most of these stories and sources were primarily science fiction movies and books made as entertainment throughout Milkdramata's earlier history.
But what they
prior to
remember?
the final observations and interactions with the
Oh,
true
so like the shit he did say that some of the knowledge we have now, he's saying this in theory, some of it is like not taken for truth or something like that, like it lost its truth. So this is like so further ahead in time. I mean, it's like a long fucking time from now. It's a long time. So what? But are they just gonna forget? Like, there's no way motherfuckers are gonna forget that we could see stars. Just because they can't don't mean shit. Like, we can see stars, motherfucker. Stars were there. They're not gonna just forget that. Motherfucker, like they don't have the videos? They would have way more than videos by this point. God knows what the fuck type of technology we're gonna have around. Did I miss something? Oh no, we had a reset button. They did hit a reset button. Damn. But photos must be around, right? Like, no way. No photos? None? At all? Okay.
universe. Ironically, some of what was believed by these religious types was actually true, because the stories, although fictionalized and driven by thematic messaging, were based on a reality that was in fact once real.
Okay.
And furthermore, some of the ideas that were believed to be religious weren't references to anything spiritual or otherworldly, but rather were once real science describing relatively accurate conditions of the universe's past. At this point, though, ancient science and ancient fiction had become so conflated, both equally absurd and inconceivable, they could no longer be distinguished from one another, and a weird, singular mixture of science, fictional story, and religious dogma had formed from it all of which was mostly denied by modern science. Because Edward involved these ideas at all into his research, even though primarily from an agnostic perspective, early on in his career, his reputation would begin to tarnish, and he would soon become known as a sort of pseudo-scientist, eventually costing him his dream job and ostracizing him from most of the scientific community.
I probably could see that
he
happening.
would effectively be forced to
Motherfuckers are
explore
like
his
that.
theories, observations, and research of the cosmos and its relationship to the stories and religions of ancient past on his own. He would never regain any serious respect from the mainstream scientific community, but he would eventually garner a small sort of underground subculture following as an independent researcher, writer, and lecturer. Many individuals were attracted to his theories and ideas because they melded the scientific and spiritual in a way that was rarely done with such nuance and intellectual prowess. When he was 73, Edward gave a lecture that he typically gave as an overview of his life's work one last time, just before he retired as a consequence of a cerebral thrombosis.
Oh, cerebral thrombosis. I don't even know what that is, but that does not sound debilitating his cognitive function.
Debilitating his
Bro, I hear about this shit, bro, and that makes me scared, bro. Oh my god, the brain is so fragile, and it's like, that's all we are.
Like, isn't it? Oh, like, what if you lose your memory? Oh my god, Alzheimer's. Fuck. Like, damn. Like, are you, what else, like, are your sense of self, is it associated with much more other than your memories and the shit, like, immediately, like, that's, like, very similar, that just doesn't change for much, right? Like, your immediate family, maybe your immediate friends, unless if you're moving to, like, a different locations or something, it's just like, oh my god, dude. Fucking no. Like, if we could figure out a way to fix that, it's just like, let's do it. If we can find a way to fix, but it's like, how could you? The brain is just so fragile, man.
Cognitive function for the rest of
scares
his short
you.
remaining life.
Like, not being able to imagine that was his passion. He can't do it no more.
He said, "In my lifelong research of the cosmos, ancient mythology, religion, and other echoes of the past, It appears to me that there are likely different major stages of the universe that it progresses through in time. And in every one of these stages, it seems to rip out pages from its own biography. Not merely rip, but shred beyond repair. As if in an act of self-repression, it seems to bury the memories of its past into its own subconscious, never to be retrieved again. If this is true, for every conscious inhabitant of the universe throughout history, including now, there will remain and develop increasingly impossible mysteries about the universe's physics and nature. This is not because there aren't answers, but because the answers are on those pages long since shredded in past time. I believe ideas and concepts about the universe found in certain ancient stories, religions, and literature are true. Not all of them, of course, but some of them. I believe they at least point to some remnants of potential truth once shown on pieces of paper we no longer have in our version of the Cosmos autobiography. I believe there is an origin story to this universe. I don't believe it is just this or just us. I believe there was a beginning, which is often referred to throughout ancient stories and myths as either the Big Bang or God. I believe there is probably an end as well. I believe there was once and likely still is an entire other realm of the universe beyond this one, comprised of other dimensions and other galaxies and other things we can't even begin to fathom. However, what I've also realized in my research and contemplations is even if all or any of this is true, who is to say that when those stories and ideas first formed, there weren't already pages ripped out? In the same way we cannot access proof of the beginning of the universe or any of the rest of the universe's trillions of galaxies worth of a story, if there is any, would it not likely be the case that those who wrote tale of these phenomena were also unable to reach parts of the universe? Parts that would have explained to them what they were missing. Why and how things came from something or nothing, what and how made the first something, and ultimately where it all goes and what it's all for. If we cannot know now what they could know then, what could they not know then that could have been known before them? I believe all things came from something or nothing, what and how made the first something, and
what and how made the first something,
and what it's all for. If we cannot know now what they could know then.
Sorry, hold on. If we cannot know now what they could know then, what could they not know then that could have been known before them? Oh shit, that kind of rhymes, you know. But like, damn, that's deep. Because I was just gonna say that too. I was like, that brings up an interesting point. Like, what if we could experience that? And I'm sure we do. And some like shit gets lost a lot of the time, right? Like all the time. Shit does get, you know, lost in translation over time. Like it does. Some of the pages do get ripped for a lot of shit. We lost a lot of philosophical teachers, like many works. We have very limited works for a lot of like great philosophers and a bunch of other shit. But it's also like, well, as far as we know, and we could test with science, which is the best thing we have, the thing that we have developed, which is like a tool or system that we have developed to try to figure out what is true and what isn't, in whatever way that we think of truth to be, right? Because it's just like you have to accept your own ignorance. And there you go, you have science. If you could accept your own ignorance, then you're doing some sort of science, right? And it's like, well, as far as we know, we don't go that far back. Like we modern humans. If you go and look at our skeletons, it's like, okay, 200,000 years ago, modern humans came about, right? Like somewhere around there. So it ain't going to be a crazy amount of time, but it's just like 200,000 years ago can be a big amount of time. But don't you think if we had some crazy technology, we'd know? Like, wouldn't they be remnants? Like, there's literally just nothing from those times. Nothing. Like, at least, like, the only thing we have with, like, dinosaurs is, like, their bones. And it's the same thing with us. Like, there's no technology left from, like, that time period. The oldest technologies are, like, the pyramids. And it's like, well, that's a whole thing in itself. It's like, who really knows? What can you do other than theorize? Could they have really had some crazy technology that was super ahead of its time that got lost over time? I mean, it wasn't going to be, like, anything magical. But it was like they couldn't. Do you think maybe they could have had something? They could have had some technology to build those things. Well, wouldn't they be building all types of shit? Like, is the only things they built with that technology the pyramids? wouldn't there be like all types of crazy engineering feats, or feats of engineering, I should say, all over the place if they did have this type of technology, and they wouldn't just limit it to just building those pyramids? So I don't think it's like, I don't think so. I don't think we lost too much. I think we've been pretty good at keeping a lot of things. Of course, there's things that maybe motherfuckers knew back then that maybe we don't now. We don't know now, right? Especially with like somebody, the way that people lived back then, 2,000 years ago, and that sense of being. Some people might say it's being lost to like the modernity of the world and how social media is and how everybody's. Oh, that's a whole different conversation. I don't want to get too deep into that, but it's just like, I don't think so.
What could they not know then?
But it's an
that could have
interesting
been
thought
known
anyway.
before
I don't
them?
think there's too much though. I mean, of course,
I
it's got to
believe
be
all
something.
intelligent beings have and are
that we
continually
lost.
being pushed away from truth with an expansion of the universe. That is why truth changes over time. It has never and can never be capital T truth, following some first moment at the base of the universe. Forever thereafter, it is merely the truth of the time. Billions of years ago, conscious beings were incapable of knowing precisely what they were inside of, how far back it went, and how many more of it there may have been. Just like how today,
Or what they
neither
were.
can we. We simply don't have enough of the pages for the story to make sense. Possibly no one ever has, and no one ever will.
Food for thought. That's very interesting, Very
This video
gets you
was
thinking.
sponsored by
Gets you thinking.
Endel. Life is constant
Yes,
ups and
sir.
downs.
Get your sponsorship, my boy. Get your shit in there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to the Patreon supporters. I should do something. I should do an Amazon banner for the affiliate things. I need to have a way to be supported. Cause I'm struggling. I'm not gonna have a Patreon. But if there's something that people could do, like if they could click a button and support me in some way, I will do it. I just gotta figure out how to set that up. Damn, this man vibe checked God. He did kind of do that. But anyway, parts of the universe we will never know about. Very interesting video. I like that. Very interesting. It's a fictional story. I spent so far. Yeah, I like that. I like the story of that and what he's what he's really trying to say with that story. Which is just like, well, this wherever you are in time, you're kind of gonna be fucked by it in some way, right? As a conscious being, somehow, some way, you're gonna have a lot of pros and cons of time. Like, look at us. Look at the time that we're in, bro. We look at the technological advancements that we're making and how it's overall, in like, if you're just thinking about the bigger picture, if you're looking at the bigger picture, it's making life better for a lot of people. It is. Like, a lot of shit is increasing. Some shit is decreasing. But, like, the general pattern seems to be that shit is getting better. And it's like, okay, that's good. Like, look at all the knowledge I have. Right? Motherfuckers 2,000 years ago, that man Socrates, whatever, Plato, all of them motherfuckers, Aristotle, they had a question about the universe. They couldn't just pull out their phone, Google. Yo, let me Google real quick. What does it mean to be a human being? Right? And it's just like, that sense of primalness almost is being lost. But it's like, is that, that's purposeful. I could have a whole different conversation about that. I don't know if I did in the Matrix video of escaping the Matrix. But if you want to leave, you can leave now. This is just extra shit. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. Whatever you want to say, leave a comment. And make sure you hit the subscribe button. But as I was saying, in the Escape the Matrix video, I don't know if I talked about it, about what it is that we're doing. Because I tried to see, what are we... I'm looking at all this technological advancement. I'm looking at the way that we act, right? And it's like, I'm trying to figure out, what is the universe doing? Like, if there was a way to, if we could try, like, even just to visualize being a third-party watcher, right? Like, being on the stands. And that's what most philosophers try to do. And it's not very helpful because we're never going to be able to see life other than from a subjective standpoint. Like, you just simply can't. Like, your circumstances, your experiences, everything. You know, all of the like we're just sponges of information, really, especially when we're really young. All we do is, just consume information, and then we're using that to build ourselves and build up our personalities. Of course, there is a sense of uniqueness there, but it's also like a lot of it is just we're just being programmed. At least now you can definitely choose the programming, but you're being programmed anyway. What's good is that you should consciously know what you're being programmed by. Be like, okay, I'm willing, and I want to have this type of programming, not this other type of programming. And it's like, well, that's what you want to do. But if I had to envision standing on the sidelines and looking at what the universe is doing, what is the world doing? Right? Like, the world is in the universe. It could be the universe, but let's just say it's in the universe. Okay, what are the things inside this world doing? So the what is it? All the circumstances are right. We're in the Goldilocks zone. Shit is right. It's perfect. There's carbon. There's all these different, chemicals. No, not chemicals. I should say like stuff, right? Materials, everything. There's the right amount of stuff to create life. As far as we know. Well, as far as we know. There's life on the planet. But it's like look at the life, right? Like look at what these complex creatures are doing. Right? And it's just like you do see sort of a difference between that and an atom. I mean, these things are all moving. They're all just manifestations of energy. Like at the very smallest level, it's all just really energy, right? And it's manifestations of that. But it's also like, look at what it's doing. Look at what the animals are doing. For some reason, they become born, right? Because they must reproduce. And then when they do, comes out another version of that's just a copy of itself. And isn't that technically what we do with robots? Is we're copying a lot of ourselves. I mean, look at a neural network. We have to base that off something. We can't just create something out of nothing. Everything that we do is based off of something. We're taking it in anytime we create something, we're not just making it out of nothing, right? Like we're using a sort of we're taking inspiration from something, and that goes for everything, like neural networks and all that, and AI. What we're building, like look at the robots, right? It's like we're reproducing ourselves, just like the genes. Like we're copying ourselves, just in a better version, and we're trying to figure out the best version. We're making robots better than us. It's just like, could I see an overarching theme in the animals of this planet? I don't know why I'm intrigued on the life. I just am. Because, I mean, there's much more than just the life of the things on the planet. But I'm looking at life, right? Because I'm a life. And I'm trying to see, what are they doing? Well, they need to drink, they need to eat to survive. They're also sort of fragile, right? They got like skin that you can pierce through it, you can eat through it, you can do all types of things. They're not very necessarily hard to kill. Some of them are very prepped. Like, yeah, go ahead and with your bare hands go kill a lion. Like, they all have defense mechanisms. They all try to do their thing, try to hide. They're big and strong. They're fast. Whatever it might be, they adapt. Okay, so they adapt. They need to eat because they're running like a machine. Like, you need to give it gas. So, like, okay, they need to eat. They need to consume other things in the world. And for some reason, there's like a balance within all of it, where if you fuck one thing up, well, then one thing spirals, the other thing spirals. Butterfly effect. No, not butterfly. Well, technically. But it's like, okay, there's a balance. They eat, they hunt, they drink, and they need to reproduce. But why? Why do they have an innate need to reproduce? Why does life do that, even in its most primal sense? Like, why are but why do bacterias and like why do they always want to reproduce? Like, multicellular from like unicellular, motherfuckers just want to reproduce. Why? Why is that something that life just does? I don't get, like, we're not questioning why it does that. Like, we know it does that, but do we ever really want to question, like, what's the function? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me why it needs to do that. It seems like obviously I know the function, right? You can reproduce, and it's like, okay, you can keep on living, and you can obviously, like, if you're looking at it from our perspective of living and keeping life going, well, we can see that. But it's also like, why is that the case? Why do they do that? Why do they reproduce? Why must all animals and things, they all must want to reproduce? They all must want to survive, and that's the only thing they care about is just survival, 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 but you're going to die anyway. And it's like, it just seems like there's something going on, because it's like they all want to reproduce. And that's the part that I'm mainly focused on, is the reproduction part. Why is the gene so selfish? Why does it just need to reproduce? Why? What is it trying to achieve? What is the point of it being here? It's like, oh, I must keep myself going. I must keep myself going. I must keep myself going. And I must, like, we're going to make diversity, and we're going to be adaptable, and we're going to adapt to changes. And those changes, they're going to get passed on because those are good. Those are the good genetics. And we're going to pass those on because those are the best for survival. But we're also going to take a long time. And then all of a sudden, here come these human beings that are like super fucking self-aware, and they're doing all these things. And that's just a whole different question. It's like, well, is everything conscious and we just have it at the best or whatever? I don't know. Oh, it's just questions. Like, what is it doing? I don't get it. Why does it need to live? And does everything in the universe work that way? Even from the most fundamental things. Is the universe almost conscious in a sense, right? Food for thought. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. It's like, what is it trying to do? Why does it need to keep living? Why is it trying to, like I said in the beginning of that Matrix video, is it trying to just build more complex versions of itself? Which is, if that was the case, then you're just looking at like the overarching theme and what we're doing and making robots and AI. And it's like, well, if we make these AIs, are they going to be smart enough to make their own versions of themselves, and they're going to start creating and fixing fuck ups that we made in their programming? They're going to fix their own programming, and then they're going to go on to create even more and more complex things. And in those things that they create, are they going to go and create more complex things and better, more perfect things in a faster, even less amount of time than we ever took? Like, we might have taken 500 years to make these things. They're going to take like 1 second. And then after that, the thing that they create is going to take 0.0000001 second. And it's just like, well, what are we doing? Like, I don't get it. What the fuck is all this, bro? I look and I'm just like, I'm really here, bro. But man, let me end the video. Let me not make it go too long. I'll see you on the next one, man. Yes, sir.